Hey babe, what you doing?
Figuring out how to give a positive review for Batman vs. Superman. Hey guys, this is Sophia with Kamikaze Kiwi, and this is Booth Babe and Ninja Tony.
Hi.
And we just saw Batman vs. Superman, and it's...
What's wrong, Sophia?
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
A little bit. But, of course, we're going to do this in my favorite way, which is make a list. And here we go. Okay, so the gala scene, which they do have in the trailers, but not the whole scene, obviously. But that is honestly probably one of the best scenes in the movie. It does a great job of introducing all the characters in a way that makes you kind of want to know more about them. And honestly, it's probably the best interaction between the Holy Trinity that is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
Jesse Eisenberg did a very good job. He was convincing as kind of this almost Silicon Valley new kid on the block, like really like young tech money kind of a corporation guy.
The sound effects were excellent. I think this is a precedent that Marvel really set, and everyone is jumping on that bandwagon. But the thunks, the bones breaking, the cracks, like every single sound effect was fantastic.
Batman's fighting style is very fluid. He moves from punch to punch and kick. He's always moving. It's very much like the video games.
Which I think is a huge pro.
And it doesn't feel like, a lot of times in fighting movies, you're like, oh, let's fight this one guy at a time, and they don't fight like how you really fight in a group where you're like, I'll jump on the person at the same time. So they did a good job making it look like a real fight. Lex Luthor, his character, and the writing for him is actually really good until the end, where he gets a little not good. But we'll go over that in the comments. So the senators in the movie, I thought they would be very one-dimensional, be like, Superman is bad because bad. And that's it, because they're bad and we're good in America. But the senators and other people were a little bit more multi-layered than that. They had humanistic qualities. There you go. And they were even smart sometimes. They were smart. They didn't just say Superman's bad and I'm good, and you're good, and I'm good, but Superman's bad. And that brings us to the part where the government officials are actually not just bad to be bad. You have so many stories nowadays where government officials are just evil, and that's not the case. They actually all seem like they want to do a good job, which of course, maybe that's more believable in a movie than in real life, but it's actually pretty cool to see. They made Lex Luthor's plan believable. They don't make Superman super duper strong and like all powerful and all seeing like they do in Superman Returns, which they showed that in Man of Steel, of course, as well. But they just did a really good job of making his plan kind of believable and all the intricacies and all the little parts that moved. It wasn't too involved. Wonder Woman's character is handled really well. I was really scared that they were going to make her totally lame and they weren't going to handle her very well, because DC is not known for handling female superheroes very well. But she does a great job. And part of that is because her wardrobe is spot on. Now, I know that may seem silly. Her theme music, too, is a lot of fun. Her theme music is awesome. I know that wardrobe seems like a really stupid girly thing to focus on, but in all honesty, it does set the precedent for a character, especially since we do not see her in her like usual uniform first. So it was a great job. And you can see that she really likes and enjoys fighting, which is who she is. She's like a warrior through and through. It's really good. It doesn't have her usual fish out of water kind of feel to it, but that's not a bad thing here. It looks like they're going to handle that in her origin movie, and I actually think that it might be, knock on wood, pretty decent. So let's hope. And the last one? Lots of Easter eggs. Lots of Easter eggs. If you are a DC fan, if you're a comic book fan, you're really going to enjoy all the Easter eggs that they have, because it is an Easter egg hunt. There are lots and lots of them. Let's go through these cons real quick. So the cons, and there's a few of them. Yeah. I hated the intro.
to the movie. I couldn't stand it. For me, it was a huge case of telling and not showing, and I hate that. There was voiceover, there was text to explain things, and with a medium like film, I feel like you have so many options available to you that's a cop-out. I hate it. I think it's lazy. Let's
qualify text. It's not like 1980s sci-fi movie text.
No, it's not.
Scrolling text to screen.
But it does explain things to you instead of really showing you, and I don't like that. Which also brings me to something else that I feel is really overused in film now. Dreamception! Yeah, like a lot here. And this is where the text thing really gets me, because a lot of times they are explaining that it's a dream with voiceover or text, instead of, like, I don't know, putting a cinematic filter over everything so that we know it's a little surreal and maybe it is a dream. There's a lot of also like inner consciousness stuff where like Superman just sees his dead father and they don't change the feel at all. It just happens and he has a conversation. And so we don't exactly know that that's a dream. Of course, we know that he's dead because we saw Man of Steel, but that doesn't really mean much.
Yeah, it doesn't help us to see what's happening in the movie. Like, it's just, oh, I guess Kevin Costner's back now.
He must have been contracted for that many movies.
All right, so I'm not a fan of the soundtrack or the themes. They're a little bit too in your face and they don't set the mood very well. It kind of brings you out of the movie sometimes, and so that's kind of the sign of a bad soundtrack.
Yeah, whenever you are more upset or afraid by the soundtrack than you are by what's actually going on with the characters, that's just not very good. Which actually kind of brings me to a weird thing where DC characters, a lot of them are very solid. They are archetypes. And there's a lot of character and archetype confusion in this movie. It's hard to love Superman and then not see Superman. It's hard to love Batman and not quite see Batman. And even with Wonder Woman, which I loved her character in this, I think they actually did a decent job. I'm still not convinced. I think there's a lot of archetype confusion.
Exactly, like, who is Superman's moral compass in this movie? I couldn't tell.
We couldn't tell.
I guess it was Lois Lane or maybe himself, but that's not the way it is necessarily in the comic books, especially not in the beginning.
Previous movies.
Mm-hmm. It's usually his parents.
Same with Batman. Batman, and I understand that maybe we're throwing out the previous movies with this, even though they do refer to them quite a bit. We don't know who he cares about. We don't know.
Did you know that Batman's a murderer? Because he is.
Oh my gosh, he just kills everybody. Like, everybody and their mother. Sometimes quite literally. Like, it's a lot. And it's really weird because this is something that we've all grown to know, and now we don't know it. It's just a touch confusing. And you see that a lot. The parents and their influences are super regular from movie to movie. It is not a seamless universe by any means, and it's a little bit frustrating actually. Overall, I feel like the good parts are overshadowed by the bad parts, the boring parts, and the lackluster special effects, which is really sad because they did not have a cheap or bad special effects team. It should have been a good special effects team, and it was a little shoddy here and there.
And the motivations of characters are just a little bit unclear, except for Lois Lane.
Lois Lane did great.
Was very well written, I feel like. Usually they blow it on the female characters, but she was like, I'm a journalist, and I want to tell the story, and it's very important that the truth get out. All right, go for it. Last question.
So, in closing, true to the origins, yes or no?
I think if you count the movies, and by movies I mean Man of Steel, it is true to the origins of Man of Steel. But the comics, not as much.
Not so much. I don't expect movies to ever be 100% like the comics, but this was a little off, even for me. Love story, yes or no?
I'm going to say yes again because it continues the love story of the previous movie, except until the very end, which it gets really like,
it's bad. It's so bad. But you're also talking to someone, myself, who hates love in superhero movies. I can't stand it. I do understand that Lois Lane and Superman are in love, Clark Kent, however you want to call it. And it kind of goes back and forth in this movie, which is a little weird. But overall, I wasn't super turned off by it. In fact, I would have said yes if it weren't for just really ill-timed parts. All right, soundtrack, yes or no?
No.
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 No. Overall, do you think the pros outweigh the cons?
I'm going to say yes. I think I'm going to be against you on this.
Yeah, I don't think it's... No. The pros do not outweigh the cons. It's sad because whenever there's good stuff, it's really good. But there's not enough to make it a good movie. An okay movie, but not a good movie. So, since you do think the pros outweigh the cons, enough to see it in theaters?
I think so. Maybe not like for a matinee because I'm cheap, but I think it's enough to see in theaters.
I say yeah, wear all of your DC gear, be the fan boy or girl that you want to be and go and see it, and then, you know, understand that you're probably not going to walk out happy though. That's the only thing.
Remember, it's just a movie.
It is just a movie.
Even though it is Batman versus Superman, it's still just a movie.
It's just a movie. Lastly, since you do think that it's worth seeing and seeing in theaters, do you think it's worth seeing more than once?
No.
No. Now, the only reason why you would want to see it more than once is to get all the Easter eggs, because there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that they throw at you that's really, really cool to see and to kind of go through, but for me, I rather wait till it comes out on video, either rent it or buy it, and then see all the Easter eggs. Go online, I'm sure. I know Mr. Sunday Movies did all the Easter eggs in it. I know other people have been doing it. I mean, this review is actually coming out a little bit later than the premiere, so I know people are doing stuff about all the Easter eggs. But in total, it's kind of not good. And that hurts a lot. Like, yeah. I am a huge DC fan. Wonder Woman, Superman, they're my favorites. And while I'm actually pretty okay with how they handled Wonder Woman, and I'm not 100% against how they handled Superman, Batman was a little hard to swallow, but whenever you get all of them together and you try to make it a movie, it's a bit of a hot mess. And not one of those, like, sexy pop star ways, and in a kind of girl who woke up at 2 a.m. and her hair stuck in her mouth kind of ways.
Hey everybody, you know how you can make Sophia here happy again? You could like, or you could comment, or even subscribe, or you could do all three. We'll be having a new video when Captain America Civil War comes out. Whenever that is.
May 6th.
There we go. Goodbye.
Bye.